Good morning, Americans. This is your favorite alien on the morning of Thursday, September 9th, 2021, sitting here in the atrium of the Springs of Park Hill in Orange City, Florida, pardon me. I always want to say Georgia. Oh, I actually got my Florida ID. Whew. Took me a long time because of my wife's situation, but hey, got that. Anyway, sitting in for Paul Harvey this morning. Stand by for the rest of the story. Well, the rest of the story is on the Latin version of Abbott and Costello. All you Americans know Abbott and Costello. Abbott played the straight man. Costello played, poor Mr. Hey, Abbott! Yeah. Especially when he met the mummy. Ooh, poor Mr. Costello, yeah. And I don't think Lou Costello liked that because I think even through his life he thought he was typecast as Lou Costello, which to me they could have done a lot more with Abbott and Costello. Instead of making Costello the straight guy and Lou the butt of the jokes, sometimes it works good, but to do that all the time, and I can understand Lou Costello's position on that, even when he died. And Abbott and Costello, they didn't have a good relationship towards the end and I think it was because of that. But anyway, the Latin version are two Cuban guys. There was this guy named Vesivio, I think it was his name. He was a Spanish guy who migrated to Cuba. In the 1930s, just after during the Spanish Civil War, he migrated to Cuba. And he liked the Cuban way of doing things. I mean, Cuba is like my home country of Panama. It's kind of similar in some ways, where the language of Cervantes is kept in the Castilian form, which most other Latin American countries, you go to Mexico, Mexicans have murdered that language. You go to El Salvador and Honduras and Guatemala. You want to see it murdered? Go to Argentina. Ooh, the Argentines really murdered that one, huh? And the Peruvians did a good job too. But, the Castilian version of Spanish has kind of stayed the same in Panama and somewhat in Cuba as the Spanish when they came in. And he wanted to do something about that. So he started recruiting local talent from Cuba. And there was two guys that were pretty good comedians. And he recruited them to do a show. They had their own little skit they called Pototo and Filomeno. Yeah. Which was, they probably based it on Abbott and Costello because Abbott and Costello was starting to get big in the late 30s, early 40s there. But anyway, these two characters, and there was others, formed a group. And in 1942, they decided to do a program called La Tremenda Corte, the Tremendous Court. And the two friends, Cuban friends, Leopoldo Fernandez and Aníbal de Mar, they were wacky. Yeah. Unlike Abbott and Costello, they played off each other. And wherever it went, okay? So the guy from Spain who was producing this, he says, hey, this is something here. Now we got to get other guys to compliment you guys. And he did. He did find lots of Cubans to play the other roles. And they created names on this program that, you have to listen closely and you have to be, and I don't think most Latins ever listen closely to the show because they don't understand the humor and the way that, especially Leopoldo Fernandez and Aníbal de Mar, did the language of Cervantes. the Spanish. I mean, the way they were doing it, and when they speak to each other, you got to understand that they were saying something about Spanish, unlike Abbott and Costello, who never did that with English. They should have done that with English. I mean, not one of your comedians in America has ever done any English thing about your English language here. But they did. They made Cervantes a top joke on everything they did there. And Leopoldo Fernandez took the character of Jose Candelario Tres Patines, and Aníbal de Mar took the character of El Tremendo Juez, the big judge, or the tremendous judge, pardon me, the tremendous judge. Well, from 1942 to 61 in Cuba, they did this program. It was, as popular as your program with Jack Benny was here in the States on a radio program. Yeah, they did that, and that's where their skits came in. They did all kinds of the skits with the other guys, and the other guys had names like Nananina, the top female on the program there, and then you had Ludecindo Cardeño y Escoviña, alias Herculo. Yeah, okay. And that's something where they got these nicknames from. Okay. Now, Rudecindo is a Spanish name. Cardero, refers to a Spanish area. Y Escoviña, well, that's a play on Escoba, right? Escoviña. But then they put the alias in there. Alias El Curdo. Yeah. Like El Cid. Yeah, right. So that's a stick at the Spanish right there. Whoa, when you did that. Oh boy, okay. And then you had this other guy whose name was Patagonio Tucumán y Bando León. Now you got to look at that. Patagonio. That tells you exactly what he was. Argentine from Patagonia, right? Patagonia. Tucumán is another area there. And Bando León, that tells you how he was going to play the part. And if you see that character, he comes in with his "A la vieja hostia primera." He comes in with all these sayings on the show. And you got to look at the Argentine and the way the Argentines are. And that's the way he was playing it, which most Latins and most Americans don't understand when they see La Tremenda Corte. That's the way he was playing it. And to play that way. And, Aníbal de Mar used to play that, and he would come in, and especially when he would say, "Che viejo," and he said, "Well, for the che, I give you 50 pesos, and for the viejo part, 150 pesos, please, secretary." Oh, yeah. And Aníbal de Mar, the way he played the judge. It's like Judge Wapner or Judge Judy over here, he played him exactly the same way. Hypochondriac. He was always concerned about something's aching here. And the secretary always knew about that. So he was always saying, "Oh, yeah, that. Well, that's the way the show was. And unfortunately, it was canceled in 1961 because of Fidel Castro. So everybody hightailed it to Miami. In 1966, Mexico decided to do the show on TV, but there was only two guys that wanted to do it. The others declined, and that was Leopoldo Fernandez and Aníbal de Mar. They reprised their roles from the radio program of the Cuban era, and the Mexicans fought other Latins and Mexicans comedians of lesser talent because they didn't get paid much in that show. I mean, it was a shoestring show that they were doing in Mexico. And the way they did it, the show came out good. I mean, the show probably, if you look at the 3 seasons that the show lasted from 66 to 69, the quality is poor because of black and white and the equipment that they were using. But you listen to the way they did it on the script. Just remember, the quality is poor, especially on TV. But they did the radio program, and that's the way they did it. And the guys that reprised the role, especially the lady that took over, Nananina, and her name was Norma Zuniga, and the guy that took over, Rudecindo Carteño Yascoviña, alias Hercuro. I mean, they really must have known the guys that did it, because they continued their thing and actually enhanced it a bit. Especially the guy that did the Argentine guy, that did Patagonia, Tucumán, y Bando León. Yeah. So you see, Americans, this is what happened. And when you see the show La Tremenda Corte, a lot of people mistakenly thought it was Cuban. The two actors, Aníbal de Mar and Leopoldo Fernandez, who played the tremendous judge, and Jose Candelario Tres Patines, they were the left holdover Cubans from the original show. But it was done in Mexico on a low budget, no sponsors, so that's why the show died in 1969, because there was no sponsor for it. But the show today lives up to the same billing as Abbott and Costello and Jack Benny and others Americans that had during the time. And now, you know the rest of the story. Sitting in for Paul Harvey, this is your favorite alien. Good day.